Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk Television, where we talk about your favorite television shows. I'm your girl, Dee Marie, and today I wanted to take the time to do a mid-season review of Legacies. So that is episode 8 of season 2. This Christmas was surprisingly violent. So the first thing I want to talk about is this week's monster of the week, which was Krampus. And at the beginning of the episode, we see that most people are affected by his power, with the exception of Hope and Clark. So Clark says that he's not affected because, he's miserable because of all the things that his dad, Malivore, has put him through. He's never celebrated a real Christmas. So that's kind of how he was able to counteract some of those effects that the Krampus was having. For Hope, she talked about how it was the loss of her family. So her mom, Haley Marshall, and her dad, Klaus Michelson, both actually died in the events of the originals. We also had Lizzie and Sebastian, who were also not at the school for very long. So I'm curious as to see if they were there, would they have eventually fallen under the influence of the Krampus's powers? But along that same vein, Lizzie and Sebastian took a car trip trying to find Landon and his whereabouts, bring him back to Mystic Falls into the Salvatore school. So on that trip that they were taking, you can tell that Sebastian is really fascinated by the radio.
Machinery fascinates me. This gas guzzler is older than dirt.
And I think that is a very good thing just to remember. He was desiccated for a very long time, for several decades, and so then it makes sense that he's not caught up on modern technology and how to work those things. Where the continuity error that I spotted comes in is towards the end of the episode, after Lizzie catches a flat tire and he repairs it. How could you be calling a radio contraption and just pressing different buttons and not knowing how it works, and then be able to find out the mechanics of the vehicle and being able to fix the flat tire? That's pretty unrealistic to me, and kind of an oversight I thought that the writers should have caught. The next thing we have is MG wasn't in this episode at all. And typically a mid-season finale is one of those more important episodes in a season, and so you have typically all your main and secondary cast members that are normally highlighted pretty heavily on this episode. And I think that him missing was a huge loss, just because, this was the time where we could have developed his character a little bit more, especially because we had a whole bunch of little cute scenes with Pedro. They were just in there mainly for a laugh here and there, but I feel like it would have been better to focus on your primary characters to help get them that much needed character development, since there is so many characters. The cast is pretty big. So moving on, we have Landon and Raphael searching for Raph's parents, and we actually do find them. So that is Lucia and Walt from North Carolina. So I'm actually hoping, now that we're getting this more information and background on Raphael, hopefully we'll be able to see his character briefly fleshed out. And I'm also hoping that we can get some awesome werewolf storylines. Hopefully he'll have a predominant role as far as his pack being special or important, kind of like back in the originals whenever we found out Haley Marshall was a part of the Crescent pack, something along that vein, for Ralph can have some shining moments there. So next we have Landon's choice between Josie and Hope, and I think everybody knew who he was going to choose. I know a lot of people were hoping that either Hope would reject him or that Landon would want to take time for himself, and I didn't mind any of those options, and I don't mind that he chose Hope. I just hate the way that he did it. Meaning he has this really good emotional scene with Josie, and the very next scene after it, he's getting back together with Hope, which makes the whole thing seem disingenuous and kind of cheapens the emotional impact, in my opinion. So if they were going to have to do the whole breakup with Josie, get back together with Hope in one episode, which I do understand. So because, you know, the mid-season finale is supposed to kind of wrap up some of those loose ends from the beginning of the season, which, you know, the whole Hope forgetting Hope is definitely one of those loose ends that they needed to tie up. But the fact that they felt the need to put those two scenes back to back is what hurts my soul inside. So if they could have put like even a scene or two in between, just to show, you know, some time is passing and to, you know, give you a minute to absorb what happened, I think the scene would have had the necessary impact and it would have been more emotional and powerful, which is what I believe that the writers were going for there. So next up we have Headmaster Lark. Josie asked for the perfect gift for her father, and that is him taking his job back as the headmaster. I'm very glad to see that this happened. You know, him being at Mystic Falls was pretty nostalgic just because he was a teacher there, so it was kind of full circle that he got to be principal of Mystic Falls. But I'm glad he's back at this Elvis Tour school where he belongs. And then lastly, we have that great Red Hood reveal. So as you guys know, there's supposed to be two Red Hood characters, one of them being the Necromancer. Second one, we're not sure who that is yet, but because this one was the Necromancer, there's nothing saying that an old season 1 Malivore villain couldn't come back to reprise their role. And then we also have Landon's death, which was also very interesting. I don't believe Clark's dead, especially, you know, just with shows like this, nobody's really dead, as you can tell, with the Necromancer coming back. So I'm going to be interested in, you know, how that character develops moving forward. But that's all I have for you guys today. I really feel like the mid-season could have used some work. Just comparing it to some other shows that I watched, the mid-season review is supposed to make you excited for the rest of the season, and I don't think this episode did just that. It was definitely funny with like the Santa and Krampus showdown and things like that, but the episode as a whole could have used help. But I am curious as to if you guys feel the same way as I do or if you feel differently, so let me know in the comments. But other than that, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next episode.